All right. Hey, so I said earlier today when we finished the stream that I wasn't going to stream the rest of the airbrushing of the primer onto those parts. However, I was watching that stream back a little bit while I was eating lunch just now, and I was still not happy with the camera settings. And so I've made a few adjustments to some focus and white balance and other issues on that camera over there at the airbrush station. And I am gonna real quickly, probably not stream all of the rest of the airbrushing of those parts, but at least enough so that I can go back and watch again later and see how it's looking. So with that said, quick intro, and I'm just gonna jump over there to the airbrushing station, which looks like that now and looks a little bit better than it did before, I think. And so yeah, I'm gonna paint a few parts. I'll see how long it goes. I don't know how long I'm going to do this, and then that way I can come back and watch this later and see if it looks better than last time. All right, let's go. Hey, Springer, I saw your comment. I got my breathing mask on, so I can't really talk too much. Just doing a test of the new camera setup over at the spray booth. So, yeah, that's all it's going to be is a little bit of airbrushing, and then I'm going to stop the stream. But thanks for stopping by. Yeah, see, that was the thing. I actually watched back my stream from this morning while I was eating lunch, and I didn't like the settings on the camera, and I didn't like the placement of it quite. So I've just adjusted it a little, and I'm testing it a little bit more. So. All right, we're halfway done with those parts. I figured since we're trying things, I just swung the arm that has my microphone around from my desk, and it sort of faces me if I turn around here at the airbrush station, so I can sort of talk. I have to pull the mask out of the way, of course. If I wear the mask and try to talk, it sounds like this. So now we know. All right, back to work. All right, so all finished. I forgot to mention earlier. Let me grab these parts. When we were streaming earlier, one thing I noticed that's very different for me when I'm airbrushing, especially primer, but even base coats as well. Yes, the rolling table. In my land of high humidity, whenever it finally gets dry like it is now, so I'm looking, I actually have a little sensor to tell me the humidity here in my studio. It's 48% at the moment. Usually it's up like around 60 or 70%, even when I have the air conditioning running. Anyway, when it gets lower humidity, this seems counterintuitive to me, but the paint from my airbrush seems to spray like thinner and more wet for sure than it does like when it's humid outside or when it's humid in here even. So I super thin my paints. Usually, you know, when I tell people that I thin about 3 to 1, so 3 parts thinner to every 1 part paint, they think that's like really thin, and it's true, it is. But usually when I'm painting in high humidity, for whatever reason, the paint sprays nicely that way. And then whenever it gets dry like it is now, I notice that I'm always having to adjust the little flow control on my airbrush because the paint is almost too thin. So for whatever reason, paint, at least for me, seems thinner when you're spraying in lower humidity than when you're spraying in high humidity. And there's probably a science reason for that, but it seems backwards. Like, it seems like higher humidity should make the paint, I don't know. It's weird. So, yeah, 2 times yours. Yeah. And it works for me, but like, it seemed like it was super runny. But you know, now that it's dried, it's perfect. So, but it was definitely shiny and, you know, a lot more wet looking going on the parts than what I'm used to seeing for sure. So yeah, and I think it all has to do with humidity, which is interesting. And you know, maybe someday somebody will explain the science behind that to me, and then I'll understand it. But for now, I just know that when it's less humid, I have to be careful about not overspraying or spraying too much paint because my paint is so thin. Yeah. So anyway, that was plenty of footage, I'm sure, for me to go back and look and see if I'm happier with the camera over there. I'm using a super old webcam over there at the airbrush station because I didn't, you know, want to buy a camera. I don't want to spend money on that sort of thing. So I'm trying to get the best quality I can out of a really, really old Logitech webcam. And it kind of looked okay as I was monitoring the stream, but I'll go back and watch it, you know, on a bigger screen and see what it looks like. So anyway, that's all for me for now. I probably spent more time on that than I planned to, so I got to get back to work. But yeah, hopefully tomorrow at the normal time on Friday morning, I'll have time to do a regular like 2-hour-long stream, and I'll probably keep working on these parts. Although I do have a real grade God Gundam that came the other day that I really want to snap up, so I might do that instead. We'll have to see. Anyway, Springer and anybody else who's watching, have a good afternoon, and I will see you later.